Boker Tov. Today's daf is Bava Basra daf Kufam Gimel Bava Basra 133. Today's daf Yomi is dedicated for a shmir for the Chayawim. That's all for the Shvuyim and the Yeshua for Am Yisrael on this Eis Sarah. We're going to start on 133a, 7 lines from the top. Amar Afuna. Afuna says Shlivmara Shekasav Kol Nechasav La'acher. As it is a person who's lying very sick, near death, and he decides to write all of his assets to another person. So Rowan Imroi Yarsha, we see if this person was in the line of inheritance, and if that's the case, Notlon Mishum Yerusha, we give it to him as an inheritance. But if he wasn't in line to inherit, Imlab, Notlon Mishum Matana, we give it to him as a gift. We assume that the person who said it knew what they were doing, and either they wanted to give it as an inheritance, and if that wouldn't work, they would give it as a gift. So, Amalei Rav Nachman. So Rav Nachman says to Rav Huna when he says this, Genave Genuve Lamalach. He says, "Why are you acting like a thief?" Meaning to say this idea, Rowan, that this idea of that there's this idea of Ru'uyin for if he's a roy liyarsho, if he's worthy to inherit. Why don't you just say Yisvirlach Rabbi Yochanan Broka? If you really are of the position like Rabbi Yochanan Broka, who we saw earlier, the position of Rabbi Yochanan Broka. Hold on one second. I think somebody's trying to get in. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry for that. So we're on 133a, 7 lines from the top. The Gemara says, Rowan Imroy Yarsho. Why don't we just say, if he holds like Rabbi Yochanan Broka, Rabbi Yochanan Broka. If he holds like Rabbi Yochanan Broka, whose position we had said several times already in our chapter, Rabbi Yochanan Broka said you could give away the inheritance as long as it's to a person who's Roy, who's in line to inherit. Well, if that's what he's teaching here, and if this person is Roy, he could get it. He should just say the law is like Rabbi Yochanan Broka. Why should he say that? Rashbam says you shouldn't hide your words. A teacher's responsibility is to make the thing clear. They shouldn't say it in words in an opaque manner. Say it in a clear manner. Why are you doing it surreptitiously like a thief? So and the reason is because your teaching is just like Rabbi Yochanan Broka, that if you're able to do if he's right, he can inherit it. So the Gemara says that after Rav Nachman said this, he said, Dilma, maybe what you meant to say is Kihada Amris, Kihaka Amris. Maybe you wanted to say like the following case. Dilma Kiha Amris. Maybe this, and Rashbam says all this is what Rav Nachman said to Rav Huna. Maybe you weren't trying to teach us the law of like Rabbi Yochanan Broka, but maybe there was a case, and your main principle was not to teach us that the law is like Rabbi Yochanan Broka, but but you're trying to teach us as Rashbam the chiluk, the distinction between whether you give something as a gift or as an inheritance. And on the way, you taught us that the logic is like that. Your opinion is like Rabbi Yochanan Broka, because we had the following case: the Hudaka. There's a man who died, but Amr and they said to him as he's dying, who do you want to give your assets to? Dilma Lapalanya, do you want to give it to this person? And he responded in an ambiguous manner. He said, otherwise to whom? Meaning to say, of course I want to give it to that person. And you, Rav Huna, said to us about that, and you taught us about that case that that he gets to take it. However, if he's a relative and he's capable of being in the line of inheritance, he gets to inherit it. And otherwise, he gets it as a gift. And so therefore, since El Aman can imply both things, we first see if he could get it in the stronger way, which is an inheritance, as the Gemara will explain. And if he can't inherit it, he would get it as a gift. And so maybe that's what you were referring to. You're referring to that case. So Rav Huna said, in Hachi Kamina, that's exactly why I said it like that, because I was referring back to that case where the guy died. And as he was dying, he said it will go to this person, but he didn't specify if it was an inheritance or a gift. So we say if he was in line to inherit, he gets it as an inheritance. If he's in line to get it as a gift, he gets, and if he's not in line to inherit, he gets it as a gift. So the Gemara says, okay, so Lamai Hochasa. So Sabra Barava Kamedu Rabbi Meimar, Imrel Yorsho, meaning to say the Gemara's question now is, why do we care if he gets it as inheritance or as a gift? What's the difference? The Gemara explains. So Sarah Vada Barava Kamedu Rabbi Meimar to say Imrel Yorsho, he thought to say that, well, if he's capable of inheriting it, Almanan Nizonas Minachasa, then a man is responsible to support his widow from his estate. So if it's an inheritance, then his widow will still be supported by that estate. And v'imlav ein almana nizonas min chasa. But if it's a gift, the widow will not be supported. And so therefore, the Gemara is saying, well, maybe that's the distinction. Amrei Rava says, migra gara. No, a gift, you want to say that a gift is less ability to support the widow. Has to be a rusha diaraisa, that when the person inherits, it's biblical law. Amras almanuso nizonas minachas. If we still say the widow is supported from the state, but matana, the idea that a shlivmara could give away something as a gift, the guy is sick, we give him this extra power. That's just rabbinic. Well, Kolsha came for sure. If the widow supported from something that the person biblically has, if he only has it rabbinically, for sure he has to support the widow from it. So therefore, we're still back to the question: what's the distinction between a gift or an inheritance? So it's like Rav Acha bar Avia sent, and we had this case already on 129b, where he said, according to Rabbi Yochanan Broka, if a person says nechasai lach, nechasai, he says to him, he says, nechasai lecha v'acharecha. He says, I'm giving all my assets to you, and after you, I'm giving it to this person. And my Yerishom Royal Yersho, Ein L'Sheni B'Makom Rishon Klum. So Rav Acha bar Avia sent the following teaching that if Reuben says I'm giving my assets to Shimon, and after Shimon they should go to Levi. If Shimon is in line to inherit Reuben, then Levi doesn't get anything. She'ein L'Sheni B'Makom Rishon Klum. She'ein L'Shon Matana. And Yerusha, because he didn't use the language of a gift, he used the language of inheritance. The Yerusha and Lahafsik, and a person is not allowed to stipulate about an inheritance that after he dies, that after the heir dies, he should give the assets to somebody else. Yerusha, the inheritance, once you give it, it's to that person, and you lose your stake. A gift, you could stipulate it because one person and another person. But you can't give that, you can't do that by an inheritance. So maybe that's the distinction. That's the nafkamina. If it was an inheritance, then that's the final person. But if you added this phrase, giving it to you and after you to you, if it's a gift, he can do it. Amrei Rabbi Rav Nachman v'ha ifsikahu. So Rava says to Rav Nachman, so how could Rav Acha bar Avia say that once the first person got it, he says to him, so Rava says to Rav Nachman, how can Rav Acha bar Avia say that once the first person got it, he got it completely, and the second person has nothing on it, like Yerusha, which has no hefsek? But this person said specifically that it should stop from him after his death and go to the second person. Why doesn't it work? So Rav Nachman says, "Who savar yesh la hefsek, Rachmana amar en la hefsek." So the person who gave it thought that he could do this, that he could break up the inheritance and give it to the next person. But the Torah says you can't. He didn't know the law. He should have gone to law school or consulted with a rabbi. He didn't know what he was doing under those circumstances. We're at the top of 133a. Good Boker Tov, Harold. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Baruch Hashem. Ahuda Amar, we're on top of 133a. Ahuda Amar Lechav, a person says to his friend, Nechasai Lechav, Acharecha Leponi. I'm giving my assets to you, and after you, I'm giving them. We're on top of 133a. 133b. 133b. 133b at the top. So Ahuda Amar Lechav, a person says to his friend, so we're going to basically rule like Rav Acha bar Avia here. First says to his friend, I'm giving my assets to you, and after you, I'm giving them to this person. The Rishon Royal Yarsho, and the first person is capable of inheriting. Havishach of Rishon, when the first person dies, also Sheni Kotava, the second guy comes along and says, listen, the guy said that after him I get it. But they said, Rav Ilish, Kamei the Rabbi Meimar, Sheni Nami Shakel. So Rav Ilish thought to say, okay, the second person get it after the first person. But that's not what Rav Avia said, because Rav Avia said if he's in line to inherit, then it breaks. So therefore, he responded to him. So Rava said to Rav Ilish, Dayana dechatzatsta. What are you? You're a judge of compromise. Rashbam explains, you don't know the law, and so since you don't know the law, you just said, okay, let's split it. That's not a judge. You don't know the law. Diana, do you think that this is the case, that this is what we have, these judges of compromise here? Isn't this exactly what Rav Acha bar Avia said? And in this case, the second guy gets nothing because the first guy inherited it. So you don't have the right to pass it on after one guy inherits. You don't have the right to give it to give it out anymore. So when Rav Ilish heard this, he was embarrassed. He thought, oh, Rav is going to say, if I wasn't here, then this guy would have given a false judgment. And so therefore, he thought that all the other judgments I gave prior to this were also off. So he was embarrassed. So Rav said, don't worry. Kari Oleh, he said about him, the pasuk, Ani Hashem, it says about the pasuk, Ani Hashem b'itach hishenet. A verse from Isaiah that says that when tzaddikim need salvation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu produces it for them. And also now I know that really this is the first time you made a mistake, because now that you made this mistake, Hashem arranged it that I came here so that you don't mess up. Hashem arranged it that I came here at this time to prevent you from making this mistake. So now the Gemara says the Mishnah, Kosef as Nechasav V'acherim. Somebody, excuse me, Kosef as Nechasav V'acherim. Somebody wants to give away his money, V'niach has panav, and he basically leaves his children with nothing. You're allowed to give away your money to somebody else, and it's valid. What you did is done, because the person has to give his money to whoever he wants, Rashbam said. You can give your money to whoever you want, but the Chachamim don't like this. The Chachamim don't think this is a good thing. They are upset at this person because he took away his inheritance, and therefore he took away the biblical idea of inheritance. The Rishalmi actually says beyond that it's not just that the Chachamim are not pleased with him, but it's an actual sin. Rashbag Omer Imlo Ayu Banav Nohagim Kishura Zachor Latov. Rashbag says, yeah, but if his kid is a bad kid, he did good by not giving him money. So he so the Gemara says, Mi Puigi Rabban Oled Rashbag. Did the rabbis argue with Rashbag or not? Meaning to say, the rabbis who said that you're not supposed to give it away to other people, what if the guy's a bad guy? Did they agree with Rashbag that if the kid's a bad apple, you should give it away? So Tashma. So Gemara tells us a story about Yosef ben Yoezer, who's from Pirkei Avos. Hayulo ben Shoya Noah Kishur. He had a kid who wasn't so good. Avile Elisa de Dinari. He had a purse. So he had a purse of money. So he didn't want to give this money to this kid. Kam Aktashe. He gave it to the temple. Also Nasiv Bas Gadio Kalile Dianai Malka. So this kid, what did he do? He married the daughter of Gadiel, who makes the king's crown. Olide de Beisahu. So she gave birth to a Oida Debeso. So his wife gave birth. So Zabinla Binise. So after she gave birth, he bought her a fish. I don't know why it's specific to her giving birth. I don't understand, but I'm sure if we look deeper in, we'll understand. He had a kiddush, I guess. Yeah. So Kare, when he tore open the fish, Ashkach ba Margalita, he found the pearl in it. Amrale, lo tamte lamalka. So the wife starts giving advice. She says, "Don't bring this pearl. You're going to get a lot of money. Don't bring it to the king. The shaku aminech b'dmei kalili. They're gonna rip you off. They're gonna get it from you for a lower price. Zil amte lagabe gizberi. Go bring it to go bring it to the temple. But when you bring it to the temple to sell it to the temple because they've got money, lo tishiyama at. Don't you open up with the price. Once you open up with the price to the temple, it's like it's a final sale. And even if you then evaluate it and it's more, you can't go back on it. Let them start with the price. Then we go from there. Inu. So Amtaya. So he brought this pearl to the temple. Shamua betleisri ilase de dinari. They evaluated that Taka was worth 13 purses of gold coins. Amrule, so they said to him, the temple said to him, I'll tell you what, Sheva Ika, we've got 7. Shis Leka, but we don't have 6. So all we have are 7. Amru, so he responds, the son of Yosef ben Yoezer says, Sheva Avui, 7 give me. She's Hareim Mekudeshes L'Shamayim. 6 of them are written to the temple. Amdu, so the sages of that generation stood up and Kasvu Yosef ben Yoezer Hichnes Achas. They stood up and they said Yosef ben Yoezer brought in 1, Ubeno Hichnes Sheish, and his son brought in 6. Well, so how is that a proof? So is that a proof that he did the right thing in not giving his son the money? Because it turns out in the end that the story ended up by not giving him the money, he gave all this money to the temple. Or does it mean he did the wrong thing because his son is actually a good guy, that he was even better than him? It's not 100% clear to me what the implication of that story is, but Rashbam says it's for Shevach. Rashbam says, the Shapir of Yosef ben Yoezer. Rashbam says, we see from here that Yosef ben Yoezer did the right thing. And the rabbis don't argue with him because they wrote up and they said that he did the right thing, that he brought in 1 and his son brought in 6. And so they were praising him. We also see from here, the poskim actually say, so we see from here that somebody does something good and after they die or even while they're alive, you're supposed to write it up. You write a plaque for them. And this is the idea in halacha that you're supposed to write a plaque to mark the charity that people are giving, the good deeds that they do for the community. But there's an alternative version of the story which has the opposite implication. Ika de Amri, some say Yosef and Yoezer Hichnes Achas Ubino Hoti Sheva, that they were upset. He should have given the whole thing. One son gave 1 and the other one took out 7. And so this is negative about Yosef ben Yoezer, meaning to say he shouldn't have taken anything from the temple and he should have left it there. And so therefore he did the wrong thing. And so Midika Amri Hichnes Mikwal the Shapiravin. In the first case, it says that his son brought in. It means Yosef ben Yoezer did the right thing because it says he Hichnes, he brought it in. And so therefore he brought it to the temple. And this caused the temple to get even more purses. And when the sages said Hotzi, when he brought out, it means that Yosef ben Yoezer did the wrong thing. Because in the end, his result was that he ended up costing the temple more money. So the Gemara says, Adran, Kamei Hotzi Miklal Delav Shopper Rabbi. He didn't do the right thing because he caused his son to bring out more money from the temple. And so therefore, it's El Mehal like Kol Mashman, and we can't derive anything from here. They could have made more money, but that's not the point. He shouldn't have taken it. Two opposite narratives, right? So we don't know. We can't learn anything from this story. So my Avia, well, what was the implication of this? What happened? And what's the halacha? Should you take away the money from your son if he's a bad guy? Chas v'shalom. Normally, Shmuel Rav Yehuda shouldn't allow to have a be abure al santa. Do not be in a place where they take away inheritance from one and give it to another. Don't take it away from a bad son to a good son, and don't take it away from your son to your daughter, because you don't know in the end what's the reason. The reason Rashbam says is because you never know what could happen. The next generation could be good, so don't be the one to take it away. And so we see from here that the Rabbanan are arguing with Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, and they say that you shouldn't take it away, and so therefore they say never take it away from one. And Shmuel paskins like them. With respect to halacha, Rashbam writes that since Shmuel rules like the Rabbanan, we paskin like him, and so therefore they say you shouldn't disinherit completely a child. Tana Rabbanan. So hold on, I'll stop there. This is going to take us into the next stop, but we'll keep going because we have some time for Hashem. But we'll stop there.